Welcome to my website. As you know, we just completed our 7-week session in Richmond, and I was proud of the fact that we were able to finish in 47 days what takes a lot of states that are half to a quarter of our size almost 6 to 7 months, if indeed they get the job done then. This is the first time in 4 years that we haven't had to cut. In fact, we had about $150 million surplus that we could actually add back to a lot of the categories that we've cut billions of dollars from over the last 3 or 4 years. In the budget amendments that we settled up on in the budget conference, the House had taken the introduced budget from last year and actually cut it $700,000. We added $100 million to it. That's where the bulk of our money went. We also added $114 million to Health and Human Services, and the House subtracted $37.7 million. With respect to the public education, we've settled at $75.5 million, Health and Human Services $110 million. So the House came around to our way of thinking in 2 very critical areas. In a third critical area, public safety, on the introduced budget, and our introduced budget is what we set up for the biennium in the 2010 session. The House only added $5.7 million to public safety. We added almost $40 million, and in fact we settled at 15.1 because we've shifted some of the funds around. Probably the most significant thing is that in the transportation budget, transportation bill that the governor put forward, he wanted to add $150 million of general funds. Keep in mind that 1/3 of the general fund is public schools, and we just didn't think that the public schools could take another $50 million hit on top of the fact that we'd cut more than $1 billion over the last several years. So we eliminated all that money. The House proposed using the $150 million of general fund money. We settled at 32.7, so they came a lot closer to our position. Now, the transportation bill that you've heard a lot about really only contains $1.2 billion of new bonding money. The $3.2 billion was passed in the 2007 session under Governor Kane. And if we had not had this bill at all, that $3.2 billion would have been bonded out by 2018. The only difference is that with what the new bill that we had that was proposed by Governor McDonald is that we take the bond money that was going to be sold in the latter part of the decade, and we've accelerated it to 2011, 12, and 13. I'll give you an example. This year, without that bill, we still were going to sell $493 million worth of bonds. With this bill, it increases from $493 to $600, a gain of $107. In 2012, we were going to sell $500 million. We've added $100, and so it's $600, so it's an extra $100 million. With respect to 2013, the governor's last year, we were scheduled to release $300 million of bonds. We will do $600 million. So what we've done is we've released the money from the back end, about $500 million, and shifted it towards the front end. Now, the downside is in 2014, 15, and 16, when we were going to sell between $250 and $300 million worth of bonds, we can only sell about $50 million each year. Under the old package, all the bonds would have been dispensed by 2018. Under the new package, it gets stretched out to 2021. So that bond money is not new money. Now, what does it do? Northern Virginia's needs are estimated to be about $25 billion, both in roads and mass transit. Out of the $3.2 billion, Northern Virginia will get about a little more than 1/5 of that, so we'll get between $800 and $900 million. That will not really take care of all of our problems because $800 and $900 million is less than 4 or 5% of a $25 billion problem. So we've got a long ways to go. Finally, the governor set up an infrastructure bank, which you can make loans and grants for public and private projects, or a combination of both. So all in all, I think it was a good session for the public. We settled this without raising any taxes or any fees. We've balanced the budget. We don't have the problems that you see in a lot of other states like Wisconsin and California. We did all of our cutting the last 3 years, and as a result of that, we're in pretty good financial shape. That pretty much wraps up the major things that we did in Richmond, and I want to thank you for visiting my website.